Fungus gnats, those pesky little insects that are an annoyance in the house. But did you know they can also be detrimental to your plants as well? In this video, I'm going to show you 4 ways to control fungus gnats. And also at the end, we'll talk about ways that do not work to control fungus gnats. Hi, I'm Dr. Tom Warren, and you're watching The Plant Doctor. Let's get started. So in order to have an understanding about how to control fungus gnats, we need to understand their life cycle. There's 3 basic stages of the life cycle of a fungus gnat. We have an egg, we have a nymph, which is going to be detrimental to the plants. They feed on wet, decomposing material. They also feed on the roots of plants, and that's where they become detrimental to plants. And then the final stage, the adult stage, is what we find as an annoyance in the house. Oftentimes you see little gnats flying around and you may think they're fruit flies, but oftentimes if you have saturated potting mix, it might be fungus gnats. But there's good news. We can use their life cycle to help eliminate them in our potted plants in our house. Let's step back to the table and I'm going to show you those 4 methods I mentioned earlier. So the first 2 things we can do to control fungus gnats are cultural things. And the first thing we're going to talk about is watering. So when you water your plants, what I want you to do is water them until you see water coming out the bottom of the wheat poles. And then you're not going to water again until that potting mix is completely dried out. So remember what fungus gnats need for their life cycle. They prefer very moist, decomposing material. And when you think about potting mix, it has a lot of peat, has pine bark, there's a lot of things in there that are breaking down. But if we can spread out the interval at which we water, that is going to help reduce the number of fungus gnats that have the opportunity to get down into this potting mix, lay eggs that develop into nymphs. The second thing we can do is deter the fungus gnats from being able to get down into the potting mix itself. So what we can do is very carefully remove the top inch or 2 of potting mix from the top of the pot, replace it with something that they're going to have a difficult time getting down into. For example, we can use sand. So we'll put a couple of inches of sand on top of the potting mix that is on this boxwood here. And just for added security and make it a little bit harder for the fungus gnats to get down to the potting mix, you could get something like small pea gravels to put on top of the sand. So there would be 2 layers that those fungus gnats would have to get through in order to be able to lay their eggs and those to develop into nymphs. If you need a more aggressive method of getting rid of fungus gnats, the next step up from using sand and pebbles or restricting the watering interval at which you're watering your plants are sticky traps. And there's commercially available sticky traps that are yellow. They come in little rectangles and they work great. Fungus gnats are naturally attracted to the color yellow. But one thing that I found at my local grocery store that works great as well are these Raid Fly Ribbon Strips. And so what makes these so great is I don't have to get my fingers sticky with these. Literally all I need to do is take off the top and extend the sticky trap out of the tube, and I have found out if you just lay the trap over the top of your pot, those fungus gnats, they're going to land on it and they're not going to be able to get off. So when I'm ready to get rid of my trap, all I have to do is grab the cardboard at the bottom, and that eliminates the possibility of getting that sticky stuff all over your fingers. These are just really convenient, easy to use, and you can get them at any supermarket or Walmart or wherever, Target, wherever you may shop. Perhaps the most fail-safe way to get rid of fungus gnats is going to be using biological controls. So there's 2 main types of biological controls we can use with fungus gnats. There's Bt and spinosad. So they're both bacteria that do not harm mammals but are detrimental to insects. So we can use these and feel safe about using these. This is an organic product, so if you're into organic gardening, you can use this product as well. So what you want to do is just mix 2 to 3 tablespoons of your spinosad or Bt. This is Captain Jack's Dead Bug Brew, and it has 0.5% spinosad in it. And so we're going to water with this every time we water for 2 to 4 waterings. That's going to help eliminate some of the adult stage fungus gnats. It's going to help eliminate some of the nymphs. But what we might see happen is eggs in the soil already that have not hatched, they'll come out and become nymphs and they'll become adults again. So we want to water with this 2, 3, maybe 4 times to catch all those different individual fungus gnats in either a nymph or an adult life cycle, in the hopes that we're going to completely eliminate the fungus gnat issue. So I know at the beginning of the video I said I was going over 4 ways to get rid of fungus gnats, but I have a bonus way that I want to share with you. You've made it this long in the video, you deserve a bonus before we get to me telling you what does not work for fungus gnats. This is a product made by Zevo, which is a bug trap. So this plugs into the wall and it has a blue light, and beside the blue light, behind this shield right here, is a sticky trap. And so if you are of a certain age, you may remember the large outdoor blue light traps that the flies and the mosquitoes would go in, and there was exposed electrical wires in there, and they would touch the electrical wire and you could hear them zap and pop. People called them bug zappers. Works on the same principle, but we're not zapping bugs with this. It's a sticky trap just like we looked at before, but there is a blue light that goes with it. So even at night, this works. And I was somewhat apprehensive about, will this work specifically for a fungus gnat? So what I did, I plugged this up beside some plants that I had noticed a few fungus gnats around, and I left it on for 4 or 5 nights, and I came back and checked it a few days later, and sure enough, on the sticky part of the trap, we had maybe 10 to 12 fungus gnats that were on this particular trap. So they do work. So this is almost like 24/7 fungus gnat control, if you will. You plug it into the wall and it's going to go a long ways for you. So I told you I would tell you what does not work with fungus gnats. What I don't want you to do is go out and purchase a fruit fly trap, or you may know that you can capture fruit flies with vinegar. Those will not work with fungus gnats. The reason being is this: they're 2 completely different animals. So fruit flies, they're attracted to rotting fruit, which is going to produce fermentation smells. Alcohol is going to produce smells of vinegar. That's why vinegar traps work for fruit flies. Remember, our fungus gnats, they're really after decomposing material that's really damp and moist. So they love the peat moss, they love getting in pine bark. So our fruit fly traps are not necessarily going to work for fungus gnats. Yeah, you may catch 1, 2, 3 that just happenstance fall into your vinegar trap or your fruit fly trap, but you're never going to catch copious amounts of them. So remember, reduce your watering interval, cover up the top layer of your potting mix, use sticky traps, and if all else fails, you can use BT or spinosad to help eliminate those fungus gnats. Guys, as always, thank you for watching The Plant Doctor, and until next time, happy gardening.